It's I who am honored to be with you today, and very touched by the opening prayers and your beautiful remarks. I wanted to start first greeting all the respected leaders of great religions around the world, great spiritual traditions. Greetings to the other respected panel members, my UN colleagues, of course, and others who are listening. I see some old friends on the participation list, so that's also a great joy. The Bhagavad-Gita says, all actions take place in time by interweaving of the forces of nature, but the individual lost in selfish delusion thinks that he himself is the actor. The Quran advises, do no mischief on earth. Do not waste by your excess. Do not cause corruption of the earth. The Bible tells us, you should not pollute the land on which you live. The mitzvah of Bal Tashchik prohibits the destruction of trees with axes. When we talk about bridging science and faith, especially in the context of the environment, we find these bridges already exist in the most ancient of our moral codes. All sacred traditions venerate nature, seek balance between human beings and ecosystems, and they all warn against destruction of the earth's natural wealth. We must remember to practice this wisdom to strengthen our global efforts towards sustainable development, to better protect and preserve our global commons. I'm so happy to be with you this evening on World Environment Day. And I'd like to warmly thank and congratulate the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and the Parmarth Niketan for the wonderful, meaningful work that you do in the fields of sustainability and equitable development, bringing together science and faith. This year's theme for World Environment Day is biodiversity. As home to 6% of the world's wildlife species, to 4 global biodiversity hotspots, as a country where high human population density and population density of practically every other species meets head to head, India's biodiversity matters a very great deal, both for India and for the world. The country's biodiversity is perhaps best known, globally at any rate, for some of its emblematic endangered species: the magnificent snow leopard, the regal Asian tiger, as well as the Ganges river dolphin, the great Indian bustard, and these are just some of the well-known ones. Countless other precious species live here in India. These are indeed awesome creatures, and they must be protected, and biodiversity is very much about protecting them and their well-being. But it's about much more as well. It's about the food we eat and the fields it comes from. It's about the water we drink and the air we breathe. It's about the natural systems and cycles that link the diversity of living things on this planet together into one single, great, interconnected, living organism or living being. It's about life itself. Life both in its scientific interpretation and life in its deeper spiritual significance. Molecular scientists who study the tiniest particles of nature and astrophysicists who study the movement of the celestial bodies across the skies both know that everything is interconnected. And when we study the ancient Vedas, the tenets of Buddhism, and all the other great religions, we find the same principle of interdependence, interconnectedness, oneness. Gandhi and so many other wise people around the world know this well, knew this well. We don't call nature Mother Nature for nothing. So on this World Environment Day 2020, as we launch the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, as India chairs the Committee of Parties for 2 of the UN's important environmental conventions, the Convention to Combat Desertification and the Convention on Migratory Species, as we struggle to come to terms with COVID-19, a zoonotic disease that jumped between animals and humans, mainly because of our blatant disrespect for them. At this time, this dialogue could not be more welcome and could not be more significant. The role of faith and the interface between science and faith is critical. Can we mobilize faith-based networks to inspire a new love and connect with nature? Can we leverage the incredible work your organizations do, especially in the water and sanitation fields, to make the circular economy a way of life for all? Can we build greener and more sustainable lifestyles, sustainable production and consumption, sustainable work cultures? Can we use our ancient traditions to build a new global mindset, not only of harmony with nature, but of global solidarity and cooperation with each other, overcoming hate and stigma, building equitable and just societies? I think we can, and I think everyone here feels we can as well. And to help us, we already have a great global to-do list. We, of course, have the wisdom of the ancient scriptures. We've always had them, but now we also have a great global to-do list with nearly 200 countries signing up to it. I'm talking about Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Great progress has been made on these goals in India. There's no doubt about that, but so much still remains to be done, particularly post-COVID-19 that has truly set us back. I look forward to learning from all of you, from the wealth and wisdom of the world's great religions and spiritual practices, so that we can strengthen our collective efforts to make our interconnectedness with each other and with nature a living, breathing reality. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Happy World Environment Day. It's time for nature.